So thanks everyone for joining this session. Till now, we covered inheritance, composition, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. In encapsulations, we cover the public members, we cover the protected members, and private members today we are going to cover. And then we will cover the hands-on lab for this magic and Dunder methods, right? So we know that what are Dunder methods. We discussed it in our last call also. Dunder methods are magic methods which provide special functions that start and end with a double underscore, and they treat the object, whatever the class object I am creating, so behave like a built-in Python object. And why they are called Dunder? Because of the double underscore. Okay, so they are starting and ending with the double underscore. So that's the reason these methods are called double underscore. Okay. So let's go back to our hands-on lab. So on Friday we were discussing on this, right? So once we are trying to access this private variable member of this particular class, right? Balance, we were not able to access it because I was doing some typo here. So to access this via the class name, okay, if I will try to access this variable direct from the object, I am going to get the error. Okay. Because object has no attribute balance, because this balance attribute is a private to this particular class. So by creating the object of this class, you cannot access this. However, you can expose it via creating some public methods, and that methods we can use. Okay. So now to access this, what we need to do, we need to append the class name in front of that with underscore. Now you saw that I can get the values of this particular variable. So this is the way how we get the value of the private members also, but this is not a proper way. So we should avoid this during our development. We should create one function which can expose this variable as we already used it, right? So if I am calling this print method just above, so that is also doing the same job, right? It will also give the same output because that we are exposing with this. So now what we did, now we created this method members as a private and protected. Now if I am saying that if I will change this method get balance to protected, as soon as I will add one underscore to it, it will get changed to protected, right? So if it got changed to protected, what it means, only the inherited class can access it, right? As soon as now I am trying to call this get balance, I am getting the error, right? Because I changed this type of this particular thing, correct? And I am trying to access it. So I cannot access it. So what is the way if I have to access it? I can create one further method inside this particular thing. Let me copy paste it. And I can say get balance here, and here I can return this particular thing, and I can access it via object saving accounts. Sorry, some indentation problem is there. 1 second. Yes. So this is the good thing here. No, sorry, I cannot directly call this. I need to, because it's a private member, I cannot access it. Here I need to call this particular method here, get balance. Now in my subclass, I am calling this particular method, and then I am exposing another method from this saving account class. Then only I will be able to access this particular method. Now you see this, I am able to access this particular object. Now I am getting this balance here, right? So this is the way, same way, right? If I will create this method as a private itself here, right? 1 second. Then how I can access it? If I am creating this method as a private instead of this one, then I still cannot access within the child class also. I will start getting this error, okay? Because saving account object has no attribute get balance. So if I have to access it, what is the way I can do it here? I can follow the same pattern via the mangling. If I want to use this method, I can say here, right? Instead of this particular thing, I can say underscore bank account underscore get balance. Then this get balance will give me the data. 1 second. Underscore bank account underscore get balance is not defined. I created one method as a private here, get balance here, right? And I'm trying to call it with this. Yeah, that's the problem, I forget to use it. Okay, so now you can see this, I can still access this. So these are the ways we can create the private members, we can create the protected members, and the public, you know that ki by default it's a public, right? So you need to add the underscore, single underscore to make it protected, double underscore to make it private. And how you can access it? Private members are accessible within the scope of this particular class, and protected member can be accessible via the subclass also, whoever is inheriting it. Fine. So now further we are going to look into this Dunder methods, right? So what are Dunder methods? I already kept some example here. Let me add 2-3 more rows here. Okay, and let me move it down. Okay, so this particular method, right, init method is a Dunder method which is used for the constructor purpose, right? Let me check it. Instead of doing this, let me add one more row below it. Yes. So why it's a Dunder method? Because this method is starting with the double underscore in the starting and ending in the double underscore. So what is the specific magic of this method or specific role of this method? It is doing the constructor. It is working as a constructor for this particular class. That's the reason we are saying it's a magic. It's just creating this class, whatever the class I am creating, it will treat like a Python object, right? Suppose if I am using a string class here, right? So what exactly it's doing? As soon as I am initializing some value to it, okay, let's say Suraj, right? So it's internally calling its constructor and it's doing the same job. So to do this thing, it is also doing the same thing. We can, if we want to initialize some parameter on the load of this particular class, we can use this particular class. So that is the use of one method is the init method. Okay, so now if I am trying to run this particular code, what it is saying me? I created one object of class B, object B of class book, and I am passing this data to it, right? I want to print the B. What it is printing here? It is printing that ki B is a book object and which exists at this particular memory location. This is not a user friendly thing ki I can understand it, right? Because if, let me see here, if I will check the type of this str, right, it is telling me this is a string type str. So if you want to give any user friendly message to this particular thing, right, so that user can understand it, we can use for that purpose the string str magic method. Okay, so now I can say here printf book title is, sorry, cell.title. Now what I did, I just overwrite this book class and I want to give a user friendly message of this particular class, what is book, instead of giving like this particular information to me. Now as soon as I will try to print the object of this B class, it will print me this particular thing, book title is this, or this is a book class. What, 1 second, oh sorry, a non-string type, non-type. It should return something instead of this. Yes. Okay. So you saw this. Now it is giving a proper thing. Whatever the object I am passing to it, I created one object with this. So it is giving me user-friendly message if anyone want to check this. Okay. What is B object? Right? It gives this user-friendly message. So for those purpose, we are using the double underscore underscore str underscore underscore, right? So str is the method used for this. Now suppose this is an book class. Let me take another class here, number class. Okay, I am creating one class number, which is taking two numbers, or not even two number, it is taking only one number, say value. Okay, sorry, 1 second. And what I am saying, self dot value equal to value, right? Now I simply created this particular thing. Okay, and now I am creating an object of this class number, num1 equal to number, and I am saying 10. Okay, then I am saying num1. Let me create another object, num2 equal to number 20. So if I want to add this data, number 1 plus number 2, right, and I want to print this data, what should this class currently should treat like a add. Okay, if I want to add this particular two number, it should do the addition, right? So if for integer class, right, if I am assigning some integer, let's take another example here before we move here. If I am saying that a equal, yeah, there is another a equal to int, sorry, no, yeah, this is the way. Suppose if I am saying that a equal to this is an integer class. Okay, I am declaring it with I am statically declaring it here with some values. Okay, and that's the reason I am defining the type here, right? So what it is giving? It is giving me 30 here, right? Because this integer class having a method add, so that's the reason it is able to do this operation, right? So now to my number class, I also want to do this operation. Let's suppose I did not give anything and I want to run this code same like this, then it is going to throw me the error. What error it will throw me? Unsported operand type plus. You cannot use the plus here because it is not mentioned anywhere, right? So that's the reason it is saying that unsported operand type here. Now what I can do, I can write add method here, right? When I am saying right, so what I am saying here, I am saying that return also other dot value. Okay, so I am saying here that now I override this. Why I am saying other here? Because whatever the value will come, that is going to add to the existing value of this, and then it should be work as like this. Okay, so I use this magic method add here. If I will use this magic method here, it start treating like the integer here, number. Now it start treating like the number, right? Correct? And suppose this is the value I am passing as a number. If I will change this string to string, right? So then it will start using like the string. It will concatenate these two things. Now it's concatenated these two things. So this is the beauty of this numbers. Okay. Any question on this?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is one example. Now I created my class number and I just do some operation. So there are a lot of things inside Python, right? Let's take another example there. I am creating one class, say my list, right? I created one class my list, okay, and I'm just assigning some value to this. I'm creating some constructor of this underscore init underscore self comma value self dot value equal to value, right? Or now what I'm doing here, I'm creating one object of this number class, object of this my list, sorry, my list. And I am passing a list of data inside it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Now if I will ask this obj my list dot 0, what is the value at the 0 position? Okay, so what it will do? Can you access this via the 0 position? Because this is a single object, right? If I will try to do this, it will give me the error. Okay, so first I want to show, because it's not subscriptable, right? So you cannot use it because we did not implemented the method here. So what we can do here, we can implement one method here. That method is called def underscore underscore get, because you are trying to get the value from this get item. Okay, now if I will try to do this, dot value inside index, this is the thing actually I'm trying to do. Within this data, whatever the data I'm passing here, from here it will apply this index and it will give me this values. That is the job of the get method. Okay, now you saw that it give me the value. If I want to fetch it from this particular position, 4th position, it will give me the 4th position value. So this is the way, by writing one get item method inside this particular class, I make this class as a behave like a list. I can get one item from this, right? Suppose same thing I'm saying here, if I want to write some method which will set the value of this particular thing, right? Return, it will not return anything, right? It is just setting the values. Self dot value of index equal to, well, no, 1 second, I am using some self dot value. If I want to set some value to this particular object, what I need to do? How we are doing? Let's take one example here. Let me add one below row, then we will treat it in more better way, right? LST equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? If I want to set one value to this particular, a new value to this, what I can do? I can use the append method here, right? If I need to add some another value to this, and then if I will print LST, it will do its job. Same way, if I can, or there is another way, if I want to set some another value to this list of 2 equal to, if I want to change the value of the second index with the 9, right? So it changed the second index value with the 9. So now I same thing, 1 second, what happens? I don't know what. Okay, so in this particular thing also, I want to set a particular index value with whatever the value I am trying to pass to here. Okay, other value data, like this. Yes. So now in the same fashion, if I want to set the value of this particular thing, obj my list into, suppose fourth value was earlier 5. Now the fourth position value I want to change it with the 10, right? So it's at this within this value it is trying to get the index, and then it will set this data whatever I am trying to assign to this. Okay, so now you saw there it assigned 10 to this, and as soon as I am trying to fetch the value of the 4, it is giving me the 10. So this is another method. Okay, so there are different ways, right? So we can try to behave our class same like a Python object by using different methods. Okay, so now let's go further. We will see some another example also in the bottom. Yeah, there is another method called representation. Okay, let's take this particular example here. Let me cut it for a while from here. I just created one class point. Okay, so how usually a point is described? Point is described in the form of like x comma y, right? So I created two variable x comma y, and if I am trying to print this, what it is saying here? This object is like particular this, but that exactly I don't want. I want to behave this to this class to give me a data like it should represent in the way it will give me a point here. Okay, now if I will write this representation method here, and I am creating this particular thing and I am trying to return it, it will return like this. Okay, fine. So I can write a representation of a class also, okay, how this class will get represented, how I want to user friendly way I want to present it. Because if someone want to tag this class, he mainly know that yes, this is a point class with 10 comma 10. This is the way you want to represent it to someone, right? So we can use the represent method also. In the above method also, whatever we were using here, right? If I want to check the length method of this, I can use the length method also here. Currently, if I will try to get the length of this particular thing instead of getting this item, it is going to throw me the error. It will say that length does not exist. Obj type has no length function. So if it is not doing it and you want to add it, you can add another method here called len, and you can say self, right? And then you can say it. Return. Now it saw that it gives you the length of this as a 7, right? Because I writed this length method also there. So basically high level, I would like to conclude this in a way. If you want to treat your class as a special class to behave like some object of a Python or a particular class of a Python, you can make your class like that also. And this is the way you simply, you know that, okay, if suppose if I am trying to say here help, right, lst, what it is saying here, what are the methods here? It contains one add method which can add one item to this. It contains method, it contains equal to method, it contains attribute method, it contains get item, whatever we just override. Okay, and it contains the set method also. It contains the length method which we also just covered here to get the length of this particular object, right? It contains reverse method also if you want to reverse it. So whatever the way you want to treat this particular thing, right, so it will treat in the same fashion. So if you want to create one class and you want to treat that class same like a list, you can overwrite the, or you can use this magic methods and you can start consuming it, and then it will do its job. Fine. And how to do it? Suppose if I am taking one example here, if someone don't know, you have to use it. Use here get item. What get item need? Get item is taking one object and the index of that, and then simply you need to return that index, right? So now what is our data if I'm taking my example here, right? Why I need to pass the index here? Because this get item need the index. That is the syntax of that. If I'm trying to check the length, it just need one single variable here. I did not pass anything here. Fine. And it is what it is returning? It is returning length of self. So I simply said that this is my value and I only write this particular statement here and it works. Same way, if I'm going just above for the get item, right? What I'm doing here, I'm setting the self index and then I'm trying to set the value. And what is my self? My data is in the value, right? So I'm trying to do the same thing here, self dot value index. Fine. So this is the way you can enhance your class to work like a Python object, whatever the kind of object you want to behave it. Now in this particular, the earlier example, right, add method of this integer, whatever we take here, right? If I will try to print, sorry, what we call this, help. If I will say that key help on the int class, right? So this is an int class. And on this int class, you will find those methods, add method, right? What it is doing here, whatever the self is there and another is the value. So what you want to add? So into self, it is trying to add this value. So the same thing I wrote here. I'm not going to write something different here. This is my actual value, self within the, and that is another variable I passed it. That is what is the other value here, and it is doing that. And simply I need to say return this. I am writing the return this. Clear on this, right?
Yes.
So
Sir,
first,
I
yes,
have one
Suraj.
question.
Yeah.
Only predefined function is predefined magic or
Yeah.
Dunder method is available, or
Mhm.
self-create we can create
No, if
or not?
no. The job of this Dunder method and magic methods are that you want to behave your class same like a Python any existing class. So you can
Okay,
use the
okay.
existing methods of that particular class. Now if I want to behave my number class like this, I can use this. Then it's a Dunder method. I'm using it. But if suppose instead of this, I'm simply writing one method here. Okay,
Yes.
define square root and then add, right? Square then add. This is not a Dunder method, right? And
Yes.
what it is doing, it is taking two values. I'm just taking one example, a comma b. Okay, and what it will do now, I'm writing one logic here, a star 2 plus b star 2. Now it will do this. If I'm trying to call this method here, num1 dot, let me copy paste it instead of that. 2 comma 3, 4 plus 9, it should give me the 13 here, right? If I will try to print this output. So this is not a Dunder method. Sorry.
Then self.
No, I forget to pass the self here, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So now you see here, it give me that particular, where it is. I went something above.
None.
I did not. So yeah, now anyone?
Return.
Yes, correct. Yeah. I did not return anything. Now you guys are getting it, right? Now it gives me 13 here. So if you want to use existing things, then we can use the Dunder method. And if you want to give some extra functionality to your class, so that you can write
Yes.
in your manner, that is the job of the methods. Whatever the methods we are defining in a class, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there are different methods also there. Let's take another example here. Okay. Let me add another row here just below this or above this. That's fine. I am creating one class. Okay. Class XYZ. And what it is doing basically, def underscore init underscore self dot value and self dot value equal to value. This is my constructor, and then further what I am doing, I am creating one method here. No, 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 I am not creating method. First I will show you the actual thing and then I will use it. Okay. Now I created one object of this class xyz which needs one value. Okay, and that value I am saying that my name here. Okay, fine. And then I want to print this object. What it is doing? It is saying that it is calling this this is an object of this particular xyz class, right? This is an object of this xyz class at this particular position, right? But if I want to call this object as a function, if I want to call this object as a function, so that instead of giving this response, if I will try to call this, or let me say this, if I will simply say that obj Anil, okay, so what it will do now? It will throw me error here, because xyz object is not callable. I cannot do like this. If I want to make that this object should behave like a callable, I can call one method, magic method call underscore underscore call. Okay. Now you saw this. It call this object as a function. So this is the way, whatever the value I passed, I am passing to this, and I am treating this object as a function itself. Whatever the value I am passing, I pass this value to this function and it is able to print this. So this is some scenarios where you need this call method, once we are creating the decorator. That will be our next chapter after 1 or 2 days, okay, after creating these modules. So once you are saying decorator, once you are consuming the decorator, then call method is very widely used. So that's the reason I want to show you this example here. Call method, what basically call method is doing? Call method can call anything as a function. Now I am treating this object as a function. If I can pass one function inside this and I can say that we call this function, it will call that particular function also. Okay, so this is the way we are using call function. Fine. So did I capture some other examples for you guys also? Just a second. This is fine, length is fine, get item is fine, set item is also fine. Call, yeah, this is the call method which we covered here. Add also we covered here. Yeah, equal to, yes, this is another example I keep you for guys. Okay, so if you want to compare two objects, if you saw there, this is one of my class, right? Before this, taking this example, I will show you another example here. Int a equal to 10, sorry, I write the syntax like, or I can simply say a equal to 10 comma b equal to 10, right? Print a equal to b. So what it will do? It will say true, correct? Because 10 and 10 value are same. So in the same fashion, if I want to treat my object, I am passing the same value to this box method. Sorry, box class, not method. So then it should give me the true, but what it is doing here? It is giving me it as a false, right? It is giving false because it is trying to compare this object. Now if I want to use this particular thing as a here, right? So what I can do here, I can use the magic method equal to, sorry, eq underscore self comma other. So now here, if I don't know what is equal to, right? So what I can do here, I can say give me int method, sorry, int class method. So now I can check it, what is equal to here. Let's go for the equal to. What it is doing, it is taking the self and it is taking another value with which it want to do the comparison, and it is simply doing this comparison here. So the same thing I need to do. So now I want to show you this example. You can look from this and you can also write the same thing here. So what it is saying, take the self, then take the other, right? And finally what we are going to do, we are going to compare these values, right? So what I am saying here, what is the constructor, which property it is taking? Size. So what we are going to do, return return self dot size equal to other dot size. Correct? Value dot whatever the property we want to check it. So this other dot size we want to check it. So this is the position. Now I wrote this. Now if I will try to do it, it give me true. So now I override this particular equal to method, and I am treating this class as a this. And how this can be equal to? Because of this property only. If all those properties are matching, whatever the value we are passing to this object, if those values are matching, then it will say true. If I am saying here 11, then it should not say true. It will give me the false. Fine. So you are clear on this Dunder method and magic methods, what is the use of this and in which scenario we should use it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then thanks a lot. So today that is my only target. I just want to cover this. Okay, if you have any
Okay.
questions, we can take those questions, otherwise we can close this.